What's going on, you guys? Chris here with Jigs Overboard, and this is Tackle Tuesday. What's Tackle Tuesday? It's a new series we're doing. This is going to be the first one, and every Tuesday we're dropping a new one. Well, what's going to be in Tackle Tuesday? Tackle Tuesday, we're going to be going over the best gear, the tips, and the tricks for fishing to help you guys become better anglers. And we're starting this one off with rods, the very backbone of fishing, right? So let's get into it. I've got some spinning rods and I've got casting rods. We've got all kinds of rods here at Jigs Overboard, and I'm gonna go over all the important things with fishing rods, from length to power and action. So, length. What does the rod length have to do with it? Well, your rod length has a lot to do with it. For starters, the longer your rod, the further you can cast. But the shorter your rod, the more accurate you can cast. So you have to find a perfect balance. Doing the fishing that I do, mostly being saltwater fishing, I find that the perfect balance is a 7-foot to 7'6" spinning rod. That's what I typically prefer on my rods for spinning tackle. For casting, I prefer 7-foot rods, just a straight 7, but I do have a few 6'10s. Well, 7-foot to 6'10, that's not a huge difference. You're right, it's not a huge difference. But my 6'10 rods are a lot more accurate than my 7-foot. Really, it's only 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches makes a hell of a lot of a difference, guys. But let's get into it. Power. Now, rods come in all kinds of power, starting from extra light and going all the way up to behemoths, like this one right here, which is a Bull Bay Brute Force. This is an extra heavy rod, and these things are huge. This particular rod is one of my tarpon rods. I also use this when I go fishing in the passes for big snook. Why do I need such a heavy duty rod? Well, when I'm fishing for big snook or I'm fishing for tarpon, I'm typically throwing very heavy weighted lures, especially in the passes where there's a lot of current, there's a lot of stuff that I can get caught on, and so I need something that I can power through, and that extra heavy rod does it. I'm throwing lures on here anywhere from 1 to sometimes even 4 ounces just to get through the current. Now, you also have things like this rod here, which is the Bull Bay Bolt, and this is a medium power rod. Well, what's a medium power rod good for? This is a great, I use this for trout fishing. It's a great all-around rod to have. This is my light rod. I typically throw really lightweight stuff on it, light jig heads or things where I'm just, Texas rigging, and that's it. And I'll just throw that out. It's a finesse presentation. You can even use that to throw Ned rigs. On your casting setups, I've got a heavy action, medium heavy, we've got medium, and then we have this unique one. This white one's really unique. We're gonna go over that in a second. So let's go over this one right here. This one, and I kept all the casting rods that I brought out, excluding Senior White, are from the Googan Squad. This particular one is the Googan Squad Reaction. The Googan Squad Reaction is a medium moderate rod, 7'2". Now, medium moderate. Well, we're gonna go over the moderate part in a second. That's part of action. But this medium rod is a rod that I'm gonna use when I'm throwing any kinds of crankbaits. Lipless crankbaits, square bills, anything along those lines. This is the rod that I'm throwing them on. And it's a great rod. It does really good. You can throw bladed jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits. You can do top waters. This rod is a great rod. It gets a lot of stuff done. Now, we've kind of gone over the power, and the power is just how much weight a rod can handle. That's really the definition of the rod's power. It's just the weight they can handle. From the extra heavy, just being heavy rods, you can get through some heavy cover with it, and you can throw heavier lures. To your medium rods, which are lighter, you can't really mess around with heavy cover without risk of breaking or damaging the rod, but you can get lighter things. And of course, you can go to the light and ultralight series of rods, which you're throwing basically, you might as well be fly fishing at that point, but you're throwing extremely lightweight lures, and you're really targeting smaller species for that, panfish, things like that. Unfortunately, I don't have anything lightweight to show you, but they're out there. Now, action. What's rod action? Well, rod action is for the most part, it's just where in the rod that it bends. The faster the action, the more towards the tip that it bends, where the slower, the more towards the middle or even the handle. For example, on a moderate action, as we mentioned before, this Googan Squad rod here is a medium moderate rod. So as you can see, its action is somewhere around here, closer into the middle of the rod. Whereas you have something like this, right? I'm messing everything up. Then you have something like this Googan Muscle rod, which is a heavy, extra fast rod. And the extra fast rod is going to bend somewhere through here, as you can see. That's where these rods are going to bend. But what does that have to do with fishing these rods? It has everything to do with how you fish these rods, the presentation on how you use it. If you're fishing something that is too fast, that doesn't necessarily work with it, you'll actually get a lot of play in the rod, and it can mess up your artificial lure's presentation. So matching your artificial or your presentation to your rod is an extremely important part of fishing. Now, what would be a good just base rod to have? Well, good base rod. If you're going to go with spinning, I recommend this right here. This is the Bull Bay Banshee, and it is a medium heavy. This is a medium heavy extra fast rod. You don't have to go extra fast, but a medium heavy fast rod is a great all-around rod. We have that with this right here in this spinning setup, and then right here we have it in the casting setup. This is the Googan Squad go-to rod, and it is also a medium heavy fast rod. Now, the medium heavy fast is just a great, it's got enough backbone to get you through good heavy duty cover, handle the bigger fish, but it's light enough to where you can really expand your presentations. This medium right here, I'll fish everything with this. I'll go snook fishing to trout fishing with this rod, and it covers all water columns. You just have to make sure you pair to the right lures. I won't go heavier than a 1/2 ounce on this rod, but I won't go lighter than a 1/4 ounce. And so again, you really have to know how to pair everything with your rod. Now, I mentioned this white rod earlier. We're going to go over that rod now. And why this white rod is so important to go over. It's not like this white rod is any special or has anything else, but I want to point out that different fishing companies have different standards in regards to power, in regards to action. For example, this particular white rod, which is my favorite, and is their White Bird, it's a great rod. This is one of my soft plastic rods. This is only what I'm throwing on here, soft plastics. Now, according to Favorite, this particular rod is a medium heavy rod with a fast action. And I'll step over so you can see right here, look at this. It is so whippy. And when you go to bend it, that bend is almost in the middle. This is more of a moderate rod than it is a fast rod. It's also so light. Like, that is just, to me, that's just so light. And with it being as light as that, this tells me I would lean to this more being a medium light than it would be a medium. So I want to make sure I point out that the industry is not standard. So you do need to go through, try different rods. I recommend, and this is not paid by them, but my personal opinion is I recommend, if you're looking for a good rod to start with, if you're into casting for bass fishing or anything like that, go with the Googan Squad. They're different rods: Twitch, Reaction, Go-To, Muscle, Finesse. All of them are out there, and they do a really good job of explaining power and the different things that the rods can do. So I really recommend them. They're about $99 a rod. And if you're looking to spend a little bit more money, but you're really looking for quality, I do highly recommend going with Bull Bay. This rod right here is the Bull Bay Bolt. It's a great rod. And the other one that I held up, which I'm grabbing right now, the Banshee. This one just won the 2021 ICAST, like best product or best rod. I forget exactly what, but this is a phenomenal rod. I highly recommend it. This is my favorite rod. And but feel free, you guys, experiment. And hey, put something in the comments. tell me what your favorite rod is, or if you have any tips or anything you want seen with the Tackle Tuesday videos, put it in the comments so we can make a Tackle Tuesday video for it. Until then, I'll see you guys overboard.